This was supposed to be our forever home.
I can tell you today that that's a war zone.
A community grappling with unimaginable loss.
My dad had actually just finished paying off the house. He worked really hard for that.
Neighborhoods reduced to ash, hundreds of homes gone, lives forever altered.
I cannot let this pain dominate my heart because I'm going through so much right now as it is.
The stories of loss, resilience, and the long road ahead.
And all three of us immediately, that's him.
And the man accused of sparking such devastation.
I can't believe how evil people can be. That should never happen.
For hundreds of people in Spokane, this is what's left of their home. The Spokane complex fires reducing everything to rubble.
In some spots, it's hard to make out what used to stand here. In fact, some families even telling us they can't bear to come back and see it all firsthand.
Tonight, a detailed look at the fires that sparked on August 1st, leaving devastation in their wake.
We'll bring you the stories of families who lost everything as we take a closer look at the man who investigators say intentionally set one of the most destructive fires in our region's history.
We'll also highlight the helpers, those who jumped in a time of critical need.
Thank you for joining us for Spokane Fires Beyond the Burn. I'm Sydney Schofield.
And I'm Mark Hanrahan. We start tonight with a look at the timeline. The first call for the Old Trails fire came in just after noon on Saturday. A fire had sparked in West Spokane near Airway Heights. In less than 20 minutes, the wind-driven fire was already at 30 to 50 acres in size. Within 45 minutes of that first call, the fire is at 100 acres. 20 minutes later, 200 acres. The wind-driven fire keeps pushing north into Riverside State Park. By 2:05, the fire had jumped the Spokane River. Evacuations continued to expand. By 3 o'clock, the Old Trails fire had grown to roughly 2,000 acres and, as we'd later learn, destroyed hundreds of homes in its path. By the end of the night, the Old Trails fire had grown to roughly 3,500 acres, roughly the same size it remains today. Roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes after the Old Trails fire started, crews are called to another fire across town in the Meade area. The first call for the Fairview fire came in at around 2:20 Saturday afternoon. Within a half hour of that first call, that fire had grown to 50 acres. Evacuations are expanded as crews call for structure protection. By 4:30, the fire is at 250 acres and growing. And by 7:45 Saturday night, the Fairview fire had grown to 970 acres. The Autumn Lane fire in the 9 Mile area was the last of the Spokane area fires to be reported on Saturday just before 4 p.m. By the time the first crews arrived on scene, it was already at 10 acres, burning timber and brush and spreading quickly. By 4:22, it's already at 200 acres in size. Evacuations are called in. By 7:20, it's grown to 500 acres. More resources are called in. 2 hours later, the fire had nearly doubled in size and is now burning in both Spokane and Stevens counties. By late Sunday morning, it's already reached 3,300 acres. And by Tuesday afternoon, the Autumn Lane fire is at 5,600 acres. This fire remains the largest of the 3 Spokane area fires. One Spokane family is starting the process of rebuilding after losing their home in the Old Trails fire.
As they shared with me, this is not the first time flames have forced them to start over. Here's their story.
This is home. This is home.
Heidi Weir didn't expect to be here.
No, I never thought I'd be living in a sorority house again.
It was Heidi's best option after the wind-driven Old Trails fire raced across Spokane.
Because we had no bedding, right? And so we have some sleeping bags and they dropped off some towels. You don't think about all things you don't have.
Empty for the summer, her daughter's sorority house at Eastern and Cheney will do for now.
And you just cry a little and then you're like, take a deep breath and move on. So there'll be a lot of that.
She was driving with her husband back from a conference in Yakima when she got word fires back home had gotten out of control. Her son was still in town and rushed to their house to get their cats and any important documents he could find.
And we just watched on our Ring camera till we lost internet, which was power, and then we just knew.
He grabbed a video of as much of the house as he could, too, for insurance purposes. It's something he knew to do because they've been here before, not even 2 years ago.
We had a fire in our garage that gutted our garage and half our home.
It took them time to get everything repaired and renovated. They moved back into their home in October of 2025.
Completely redone on the inside, just absolutely gorgeous. Upgraded a bunch of stuff, new kitchen, new master suite.
And now, her home that she'd already rebuilt once is gone.
I don't wish a fire on your worst enemy. It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling to just lose everything.
She knows she's not the only one. The Spokane complex fire stealing everything from hundreds more families.
Your home is where your memories are. So we've lived there 18 years. It's where our kids grew up.
She says she almost views it as a silver lining that this isn't her first time starting over.
I knew to contact my insurance company immediately, not to wait. I knew to the process, right? I knew, okay, this is what we're going to do.
She's sharing that knowledge with everyone she can, and they are planning to rebuild. Despite it being such a dark time, they're trying to find moments of levity, even joking with the rest of their tight-knit neighborhood that no one's allowed to move away.
You make the best of it, because what else are you going to do? You can live with, oh my gosh, I shoulda, but in this moment, in this day, there's nothing that's going to go backwards. You only can go forward, so make the best of it.
In Spokane, Sydney Schofield, KREM 2 News.
Hundreds of homes have burned, and now we are getting an overhead look at the devastation. Altogether, the 3 fires have burned more than 10,000 acres. On your screen right now, you can see the before and after images of neighborhoods devastated by fires.
The before images from Near Map show what Spokane looked like as of June 13th this year, and the after images were taken the day after the fire swept through.
Eastern Washington was under red flag warnings the day of the fire, with the National Weather Service warning of a critical fire danger.
Jenny Power is in studio breaking down how dry conditions made the flames spread so quickly.
So when it came to forecasting this weather event, conditions had to last for at least 3 hours, and we did see the particularly dangerous situation red flag warning between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. because of the consistent elevated fire weather conditions we were experiencing. The other layer to this is that we had to have seen little to no rain in the past 30 to 90 days, which unfortunately, when it comes to some of the rain statistics, Spokane did fall under. And then the other layer of this, we have to see wind speeds in excess of 30 miles per hour. We saw some pretty strong gusts recorded out at the Spokane International Airport. And the other thing has to do with the relative humidity. It had to be less than 30%. So let's take a look at some of the observed weather data that we saw for August 1st. First thing I want to talk about does have to do with one of the criteria, that 30 to 90 days without any rain or measurable precipitation. So for the entire month of July out at the Spokane International Airport, only a trace of precipitation was recorded. July and August are our driest months out of the year, but we even saw some below average precipitation for the entire month of July, indicating those very, very dry conditions. And then on August 1st here, no measurable precipitation is what we saw. Very dry conditions. The average for August puts us just under half an inch. The other thing to consider is we have been experiencing moderate to severe drought conditions, even seeing some extreme drought conditions up toward parts of the Okanagan Valley and Omak specifically. Another indication of the extremely dry conditions that we have been seeing, both leading up to August 1st and are expecting to see here moving forward.
When the call to evacuate came down, one Spokane man did not rush home or pack a bag. Instead, he put on a Red Cross vest and started helping others. His story ahead.
Well, what if I stopped and say, hey, what are you doing?
Plus, we're hearing from a man who says he saw the suspected arsonist just moments before flames broke out. What investigators know so far.
Kids are probably gonna have to go to counseling for dealing with all that with PTSD. Like, our daughter has anxiety, man, and to find out that like somebody started that, like, there's terrible. A lot of families. A teacher that I work with right behind my house lost everything that he had, including his pets, and like to know that that all could have been avoided is heartbreaking, man.
The Spokane community continues to grapple with the fact that the Old Trails fire was intentionally set. Deputies believe 37-year-old Aaron Farinacci started the fire. He is now facing a first-degree arson charge. Here is what we know from his arraignment this week.
New court documents show Farinacci admitted to being a serial arsonist and has allegedly set 25 fires near his Spokane apartment since last year. Prosecutors charged him with arson for 4 additional fires in Spokane since last summer. Court documents reveal after Farinacci was arrested, he told investigators he picked August 1st to light the fire because it was a particularly dangerous day. Hot, low humidity, and gusty winds, and that he, quote, knew it was gonna get bad. Deputies contacted him the day the Old Trails fire started and found him carrying waterproof matches and a butane lighter, but didn't yet have enough evidence to arrest him. Investigators say Farinacci admitted he knew arson was an easy crime to get away with if you have time. Farinacci was scheduled to be arraigned Thursday, but that process was delayed after the defense requested a mental competency evaluation.
We are now hearing from some of those eyewitnesses, including the man who says he saw Aaron Farinacci in the area where the Old Trails fire started moments before it began.
We're getting more details from Christian Valderas.
Investigators believe 37-year-old Aaron Farinacci is responsible for starting the Old Trails fire, the most destructive in Washington state history. Now he's been charged with first-degree arson after investigators say a witness spotted him near the fire's origin minutes before smoke appeared. This is video of the fire shortly after it sparked. Investigators say 3 witnesses identified Farinacci as the man they saw acting suspiciously near the railroad tracks. One witness told investigators he first saw Farinacci standing near the tree line, then later bent over near a fence in dry vegetation. Court documents say deputies contacted Farinacci more than a mile from the fire. They found a butane lighter and heavy-duty waterproof matches in his possession, but released him as crews focused on evacuations. The next day, fire investigators determined the fire started in the same area where witnesses reported seeing Farinacci.
Well, when he saw us, he kind of stood up and kind of turned and faced us and got a little fidgety. I kind of, you kind of second guess yourself. It's kind of like, well, what if I stopped and say, hey, what are you doing? Could this possibly have been prevented? So I kind of beat myself a little bit up about that.
Investigators ruled out trains and electrical equipment and say the fire was started by an open flame used to ignite dry vegetation. And Farinacci's bail has been set at $1 million. Investigators have not linked him to the 2 other major wildfires burning in the Spokane area. In the next half hour, I'll dig more into the suspect's previous manslaughter conviction. For now, in the studio, I'm Christian Valderas, King 5 News.
We've been getting calls about how you can help with wildfire recovery, and there are plenty of opportunities. We'll walk you through them in 2 minutes. There are so many opportunities to help people impacted by the Spokane complex fires. We wanted to let you know Second Harvest is now collecting donations and giving them to people who need them the most.
They say just in the days after the fire sparked, they received 9 totes of donations, but they still need more.
Sending money's great, whether it's to any of the organizations that are helping out. And also, if you want to bring food down, we'll get it, non-perishable food. We'll get it in, and we're literally getting it back out into the system for the folks who need it in a day or so.
They are collecting those donations at their warehouse, 1234 East Front Avenue.
Local businesses are stepping up to help firefighters as well. JK Boots set up a recharge station at its headquarters, and they're giving firefighters food, coffee, water, and a place to take a break. JK Boots is also giving out 50 pairs of handmade boots to active firefighters.
So we called it our home front campaign. So the first thing was donating boots to firefighters. The second thing is we're doing this, it's today. All day, Wednesday, August 5th, is we're calling it our home front day. So all sales, all profits are going to go directly to the people who lost their homes.
As wildfires swept through our region, we're hearing from one man who, when faced with an evacuation himself, decided to stop, stay back, and help others get out safely. Connor McAvoy shares his story.
Like many people across our region, evacuees have been forced to make tough decisions about what they can take with them and where they can turn for help. For one American Red Cross volunteer who calls Spokane home, he says he didn't have to think twice about where he needed to be.
It's a scary situation from a place Elise Kazadi says has become more than home.
Spokane feels like family.
He came to Spokane through a U.S. refugee admission program through World Relief Spokane, and he's been here ever since.
You don't even think when you're doing something for your own and your loved ones, you just do it.
That sense of community was put to the test when Kazadi was forced to evacuate his North Spokane home once the wildfires broke out. When his roommate told him the news, instead of rushing home to save his own belongings, he went in a different direction.
I immediately thought, there's families that I think might need help, especially refugee families, people who maybe do not speak English.
He sprang into action, putting on his American Red Cross volunteer vest he's had since he joined in 2020 during the pandemic. He spoke to some in Swahili, trying to give them what available information there was at the time, setting aside his own needs for others.
I have friends who are able to help me get a place to stay, and I had access to laundry, so I've just been rewashing the clothes I have.
As he waits to get back into his neighborhood, Kazadi is glad to see many, like him, putting others' needs before their own.
People are helping. People are not asking questions, where are you from? Do you do this or that? People are just helping, and I hope that this sense of help, seeing each other's humanity, carries us along in a time where we need to see each other's humanity the most.
He tells me he just got a notification that his apartment is still intact but can't go back due to the evacuation still in place. He knows others, including his neighbors, aren't as lucky and hopes to continue helping them once the evacuations are lifted. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Still ahead, we'll show you how a Spokane teen who's no stranger to wildfire is using his talent to honor fire crews, survivors, and a community healing together.
A local teenager and pianist is honoring the recent wildfire victims, and he's doing that through a piece of newly composed music. Brandon T. Jones has the story.
Finding the right words to describe these last few days hasn't been easy. Heartbreak and devastation, a community trying to process the unimaginable, and neighbors showing up for neighbors.
I'm thinking it's just such a weird time in our lives. Like, it just seems so surreal, just like this is really happening.
Gavin Stroup is using keys to express what he's feeling. The 14-year-old pianist is heading into his freshman year of high school, but this summer break is one he'll always remember.
Things 3 months ago were just normal, and now it's just not normal, just chaos kind of.
Just a few months ago, Gavin and his family were in the middle of a level 3 evacuation zone. Their home survived the upriver fire, but those tense moments of leaving everything behind in a hurry is all he could think about as the Spokane complex fires destroyed hundreds of structures.
It was scary, definitely. It was nerve-wracking. I was outside of the truck when they started dumping it on our house. I was like, wow.
Those feelings turned into a song he calls Into the Fire. No pencil or paper, just raw emotions translated into music. Ultimately, this song Gavin has composed is an effort to honor firefighters, first responders, and Spokane residents impacted by the recent flames.
Like, it's much easier because you don't have to use your words. You just play what you feel, what you actually feel inside, and that's way easier than talking for me, I guess.
From Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KRIM 2 News.
These fires also damaging Fairmount Memorial, where generations of families buried their loved ones. We follow one woman searching for answers about whether the flames reached her father's grave.
As the flames swept through Spokane County, they crept toward Fairmount Memorial.
I met Kiera Scriven there. She buried her father in that cemetery 2 years ago. We walked through the grounds, finding out together what kind of damage the fire left behind. When Kiera Scriven thinks about her dad, Tom, his 3 words echo in her head.
Just be thankful. Like, me complaining, just be thankful. You know, me happy about something, just be thankful.
And she is, thankful for 20 years with her dad, but of course, wishes she had more time. After a 6-month battle with lung cancer, he passed away in 2024. She laid him to rest at Fairmount Memorial and visits him often.
I really just miss my dad. You know, I miss the support that I could have from him. I miss having a family of 5, and I really just miss being able to talk to him about anything that I need to.
Then the Spokane complex fire sparked, forcing Kiera and her family to evacuate their home. Soon she realized the flames were heading straight toward her father's cemetery.
I was imagining the worst case situation.
Together, we walked through the grounds, seeing some gravesites singed and the damage to the Sunset Chapel. Kiera still not knowing the fate of her father's grave.
Well, he's on the wall over that way, so we'll just keep walking.
Slowly, we made our way through.
We can see right there, a little bit of that part burnt. Thankfully, just a little bit.
The flames pushed all the way up the hill to the cemetery.
Oh my gosh!
But stopped just short of her father's grave.
I'm feeling like really relieved.
That relief bittersweet. The fire spared her dad's final resting place, but she knows it took so much from hundreds of other families.
Everyone knows someone who lost something. Everyone knows at least 4 people, because that's just like how Spokane works. Everyone knows everyone.
She's coping with humor, posting this TikTok when she thought his grave may have been destroyed. In a way, it's a nod to the man she misses most.
I actually got most of my humor from my dad. So, you know, being able to like make these jokes, being like, okay, my dad would really like that.
Her post took off, getting more than 500,000 views and helping her connect with people from all over.
People who experience wildfires, you know, elsewhere, saying like, hey, this happened with me. It just became like a nice way for people to just be like, yeah, we're doing this together.
As we left, those 3 words echoed back.
I was thinking, just be thankful, just be thankful.
The first call for the Old Trails fire came in just after noon on Saturday. A fire had sparked in West Spokane near Airway Heights. In less than 20 minutes, the wind-driven fire was already at 30 to 50 acres in size. Within 45 minutes of that first call, the fire is at 100 acres. 20 minutes later, 200 acres. The wind-driven fire keeps pushing north into Riverside State Park. By 2:05, the fire had jumped the Spokane River. Evacuations continued to expand. By 3 o'clock, the Old Trails fire had grown to roughly 2,000 acres and, as we'd later learn, destroyed hundreds of homes in its path. By the end of the night, the Old Trails fire had grown to roughly 3,500 acres, roughly the same size it remains today. Roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes after the Old Trails fire started, crews are called to another fire across town in the Meade area. The first call for the Fairview fire came in at around 2:20 Saturday afternoon. Within a half hour of that first call, that fire had grown to 50 acres. Evacuations are expanded as crews call for structure protection. By 4:30, the fire is at 250 acres and growing. And by 7:45 Saturday night, the Fairview fire had grown to 970 acres. The Autumn Lane fire in the 9 Mile area was the last of the Spokane area fires to be reported on Saturday just before 4 p.m. By the time the first crews arrived on scene, it was already at 10 acres, burning timber and brush and spreading quickly. By 4:22, it's already at 200 acres in size. Evacuations are called in. By 7:20, it's grown to 500 acres. More resources are called in. 2 hours later, the fire had nearly doubled in size and is now burning in both Spokane and Stevens counties. By late Sunday morning, it's already reached 3,300 acres. And by Tuesday afternoon, the Autumn Lane fire is at 5,600 acres. This fire remains the largest of the 3 Spokane area fires. There's been an incredible outpouring of support for fire crews. We have seen volunteers dropping off carloads of donations for those crews, bringing everything from caseloads of water and sports drinks to shaving cream and other everyday essentials. Tom Stokesbury with California Interagency Incident Management Team 7 says most firefighters are working 12 to 16-hour shifts, and crews have been coming in from all across the country. We have seen teams from Salt Lake City, San Bernardino, California, Alaska, Arizona, and New York. The incident management officer says the community stepped up at a time when firefighters needed it the most.
This incident it happened so fast and it developed so quickly, and there's so many other fires burning throughout the U.S. that some of our support we'd usually have is on delay. So the community really stepped up and offered their services, and we were so grateful for it.
As firefighters continue to work around the clock, the community continues to give its support.
Kim Castro came from out of state to help us report on the fires. She says in all of her career, she's never seen anything like the support here in Spokane. Here's her report from the command post.
One gentleman brought probably almost half of this water in one load with his truck and trailer. We've had Les Schwab's bring pallets of water.
Whether it's one person or a company pulling together, as a unit, the people of Spokane have thought of everything.
The toiletries have been a big hit for the guys when they come off the line.
Mouthwash, bug spray, eye drops, you name it, it's here.
It's their actual personal care needs that make them uncomfortable while they're out there. Baby wipes to wipe their eyes, the soot off their face.
How proud are you that, all these donations came from your community? Like, this is Spokane on display.
It's amazing, and it's like, it was all what we asked for: the water, the Gatorades, the electrolytes, the non-perishable foods, to, okay, we're stacked with that. We need to go to toiletries because that's the need we saw. And as soon as we just sent out a post to that, it was like within a blink of an eye almost, it was just here.
Coordination, organization, there's a lot that goes into this operation, but it's the end result.
You can just see the smiles on their faces. Sometimes I'll step back and just watch them as they go down the line, and it's like a little kid on Christmas.
That without a doubt makes it absolutely worth it. By this point, you're probably thinking Randy Sherman is a seasoned vet, or surely at least she's done this before. She hasn't.
Coming in, and I kind of just landed in the role somehow, but I'm happy to be here. I feel like part of the family.
And you better believe the command post in charge is so happy she's here too.
In the last 3 days, I'm going on about 6.5, 7 hours sleep. But when I get here and I see her, I perk up. She has this energy in her of wanting to be here and help and support these firefighters.
The support is going both ways. Together, no doubt they'll take care of each other while taking care of these fires.
The people that live here are going through something right now that most people will never experience, and it's an unfortunate thing. It's sad, it's tragic, but in that wake, they're out here supporting the firefighters. It's amazing. It's amazing when their community is in need and we're here to help them. They're out here helping us.
Wildfire victims now have a one-stop resource center to get help navigating the recovery process. Shadle Park High School opening as a disaster assistance center, bringing together county agencies, nonprofits, and recovery organizations all under one roof.
If your home was damaged or destroyed in the wildfires, insurance experts say taking a few extra steps now can make the claims process so much smoother. Document everything as soon as it's safe to do so by taking photos and videos of your property. If possible, gather receipts, appraisals, and other records of valuable belongings. Experts also urge you to file your insurance claim early because adjusters are often overwhelmed after major disasters. We spoke with public adjuster Jennifer Taylor to learn more.
When you have a rebuild estimate that comes back, one, make sure that you go ahead and do your due diligence. So go ahead and get like 2 estimates to rebuild. So that you already have that in your back pocket. And if your adjuster comes back with something that's low, it's okay. You can actually supplement to try to get it higher.
Taylor warns homeowners to be careful with the language when they use describing damage, since incorrect wording could impact coverage. And while the process can be frustrating, she says to be prepared. It could take anywhere from 18 to 24 months before some claims are fully resolved. You can watch that full interview right now on our website. Just head to KREM.com. One person facing a rebuild is a retired Spokane firefighter. He spent decades helping people through devastation, and he now finds himself in need of help.
The Old Trails fire destroyed Tim Archer's home. As Emily Fox Million shows us, he and his wife are now finding hope in the middle of heartbreak.
For 2 decades, Tim Archer served as a Spokane firefighter and EMT. He spent years walking through homes destroyed by fire, comforting families who had lost everything. Now, he's the one starting over.
I spent 20 years as a firefighter, so it kind of looked like what I expected it to look like, as far as burnt to the ground and a chimney sticking up in the air. That's how, if you drive around, that's how most of them look. So I wasn't surprised at what I was looking at, but I guess I was surprised it was my house.
The Old Trails fire destroyed the home Tim and his wife Francie built their life in. They escaped with just a few belongings, their dogs, in hopes they'd have something to come back to.
I think we were in shock for a day, just kind of, just in survival mode.
When they returned, only the chimney was still standing, but among the ashes, they also found reasons to keep moving forward. Their chickens survived, a few clothes were still hanging on the line, and a small cast iron helmet was pulled from the rubble, a reminder of the career he dedicated to helping others.
For 20 years, I was on the other side of it, telling people we're sorry for your loss and that kind of thing. So now it's kind of unique because I can actually commiserate with those folks and to actually see what they were going through, which in some ways, it sounds odd, but it's kind of a blessing.
The Archers say what has surprised them the most is the outpouring of support from their community, and they hope people remember that even after the fire is out, the recovery has only just begun.
Keep sending those texts and keep checking in on people, because one day they may not want to talk and another day that they may be more willing and able and really wanting to hear from you.
It's a perspective they say comes from a lifetime of serving others, and now leaning on a community that's returning the favor.
Next, one Spokane woman's home survived the fires, but her sister's house next door burned down to its foundation. How they're grappling with this difficult discovery. We're starting to get a sense of all of the damage the Old Trails fire left behind. One woman learning her home is still standing, but her sister's right next door burned down to its foundation.
Regan Gallo shares her story as she continues to grapple with survivor's guilt and the emotional toll of the fire.
From flames to fallout and destruction to dust.
I definitely think it was a God thing.
Jessica Thomas's home is left standing, while her neighbors' homes are completely gone.
Actually, I did look at my Blink camera while it was still on, and I was like, I don't know if I should do this, but I looked to see, and I could see just smoke, and then it shut off. And when it shut off, I was like, yeah, there's just no way it's standing.
But there's complex emotions as she shows us the aftermath.
Literally, our kids just grew up with each other, and they would run in each other's yards. I mean, if I needed milk, I would just, like, oh, I need milk.
Her sister has been her next door neighbor for over 20 years. Her house destroyed.
And then I think there is a little bit of guilt and sorrow that we're able to grab stuff and other people weren't.
As a wife and mother of 2, Jessica is grateful they got out of harm's way and their family home and memories untouched.
So thankful and so blessed and so thankful to God that everyone got out.
But like Jessica's sister, there are thousands others wondering if they will return to the same fate. Their homes, rubble, and ruin. Reporting in Spokane County, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Authorities say a witness who lived in the area played a key role in helping them zero in on Aaron Farinacci, the man accused of intentionally starting the Old Trails fire. Paul Child and his family reported the initial suspicious activity to investigators after seeing Farinacci hunched over along the tree line and then seeing a column of smoke coming from that same area.
We basically loaded up in our vehicle, and he escorted us down to an area and pulled us off to the side of the road, and they brought an individual out from a deputy's car. And we were quite a ways away, but enough to make an identification. And all three of us immediately, that's him. That's the individual we saw standing in that area a few minutes before the fire started.
Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles says the suspect was initially released for a lack of evidence, but was taken back into custody after investigators were able to pinpoint exactly where the fire started, which aligned with Child's initial report.
We are learning more about the man investigators say purposely started that fire in Spokane, which exploded into the most destructive wildfire in our state's history. Newly obtained court documents reveal the suspect is a convicted felon with a lengthy criminal history. Christian Balderas reports.
According to court records, the suspect, 37-year-old Aaron Fernacci, was questioned about 2 other blazes last year, though he wasn't charged in either. He also has a manslaughter and aggravated assault conviction on his record. Here's video from 2010 of his arrest in Arizona after he shot and killed his adoptive father during a domestic dispute. Court documents say the argument began over household chores. He was convicted in 2012 and was released in 2020. And records show he was discharged from probation in 2024 while living in Washington State. Now Fernacci is facing a first-degree arson charge in Spokane County. Prosecutors allege he intentionally started the Old Trails fire, which he has denied.
We were living in a nightmare that we think we're going to wake up and everything is going to be okay, but it's not. We just wish we could just wake up and it's all better. I can't believe how evil people can be. That should never happen. They need to just put them away. People like that shouldn't even exist. It's pure evil.
Fernacci's criminal history became part of court proceedings this week as prosecutors argued he should remain jailed in Spokane County. A judge set his bond at $1 million. And this all comes as hundreds of homes have been destroyed and thousands remain evacuated. The Old Trails fire is now over 3,500 acres. In the studio, I'm Chris Balderas, King 5 News.
When you look at a smoky sky, it's hard to know what you're really breathing. Coming up, our Environment Northwest team breaks down the science behind wildfire smoke and why the smallest particles can have the biggest impact on our health. Since the fire started, officials continue to urge the public to not fly drones over the fire. This matters because when drones do fly through those zones, firefighting aircraft cannot. And when those planes are grounded, fires have more time to grow.
And just remind them that we do have a federal FBI task force here. They have been authorized to bring drones down now if they are over the area. They have 4 radar systems set up around the perimeter, so please give us the grace to let us do our jobs.
The FAA is handing drone violators $100,000 fines per violation, and criminal charges are possible too.
Right now, crews are slowly starting to contain the Spokane area fires, and we have been getting a lot of questions from viewers on just how containment works. Calling a fire contained means there is a fire line around the whole perimeter of the fire. That's a physical line in the earth cleared of debris that can burn. Fire crews cut the line with bulldozers and hand crews, removing trees and brush as they go. The fire line can also be an existing highway or a road if crews keep the fire from jumping over it. For example, to say a fire is 10% contained means there is a physical line around 10% of the entire fire area. Every fire season, especially this one, we hear a lot about air quality and hazy conditions. But what about the wildfire smoke and what's in it makes it difficult to breathe? Audrey Tackett with our Environment Northwest team explains the science behind the smoke.
A familiar sight during summer. Smoke hanging over our communities, turning skies hazy, and pushing air quality to unhealthy levels. But have you ever wondered, what are we actually breathing? Meet PM 2.5, PM for particulate matter. This is a typical particle found in wildfire smoke. The EPA says it's about 30 times smaller than the width of a singular human hair. Despite its tiny size, it's not just a speck of ash. It's a complex mix of carbon, microscopic ash, organic compounds, and other materials released when trees, brush, and vegetation burn. If buildings or vehicles catch fire, those particles can also include plastics, metals, and other man-made chemicals. We already breathe in millions of larger microscopic particles every day, most of which get caught by the nose or throat. But PM 2.5 is so small, it can travel deep into the lungs. Some particles are even small enough to pass into the bloodstream. The National Institutes of Health says the particles can get lodged in your lung tissue. It can worsen asthma and increase the risk of heart and lung problems, especially for children, older adults, and people with pre-existing health conditions. So the big picture we see of a smoky sky is really billions of tiny particles floating inside it, small enough to inhale with every breath we take.
It'll be weeks, months, even years before Spokane makes a full recovery. But what can you do to help today? We're telling you more about Help to Northwest in just 2 minutes.
Family barely got out of this alive.
The fire, from what I've been told, was jumping from treetop to treetop. I got the call that said we think it's burning.
Lost everything that he had, including his pets.
The neighborhood that I grew up in has pretty much been decimated. Everything was gone. Oh my God. A war zone is the best way to describe it.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Is that my roof? I think that's my roof.
Very, very hard loss.
A fire this large, there's no community that can handle that on their own.
Even if we can't solve the worst day in somebody's life, that we can be there to help them stay safe.
Being able to do something here across the state has felt a little empowering. This has just really amplified how good people really are. Sometimes I think we forget that.
It's like you actually matter.
We have launched our Help to Northwest fundraiser for wildfire victims, and we want to thank all of you and our community partners who have helped raise a lot of money for Washington fire victims and the American Red Cross. Together, our partners have raised more than $100,000, approaching $300,000 today. If you want to help, scan that QR code on your screen to donate to the Help to Northwest campaign. And thank you for joining us in this effort.
Thousands of acres burned, hundreds of families lost everything. And while the flames will eventually be extinguished, the recovery is only just beginning.
But if these fires have showed us anything, it's the strength of our community, neighbors helping neighbors, and first responders working around the clock.
Rebuilding won't happen overnight. It'll likely take years. But as Spokane has proven time and again, when we face adversity, this community shows up.
Thank you for joining us. We will continue to follow this recovery every step of the way.